That sounds
It
normal.
didn't make sense or it doesn't make sense. I don't know. All right, we'll give people a couple more minutes to come on, and then we'll just.
They should be waiting for you.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but
So I guess the reason that security doesn't like it to be stopped by the players is not that, I guess like they're in their game mindset.
right.
And even like LeBron James has a meditation that he guides people through on calm.com, where he goes through his whole pregame process and how he laces up his shoes, and every step he's like leveling into that mindset.
Hey,
And they're afraid
Doris.
of people like get in their aura. So,
I had a friend who did a whole thing before his hockey games.
oh, really?
How long would it take?
Just listen to music.
Was he on Glenbrook North's hockey team?
I think he was for a bit. He did some.
They had a very good hockey team.
That was a little while ago.
I'm just giving it a minute or two, Doris, just to see if anybody else.
Where is everybody?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Glenbrook
I'm
North
sure it's
hockey team.
someplace good. Wherever it is, I'm sure it's
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lois said she'd be here, so.
okay. Well, if Doris is on, then I'm in the right place. That's the main
Absolutely.
thing. I just want you to see the background of Doris's.
Ah,
This
I love that.
this is not a Zoom background. This is life. This is life. She
Yeah.
she lives
Nice.
in that surrounding.
Is that an art studio?
Yeah,
What?
Are you
It's
an artist?
Right now I'm making a castle for my grandchildren.
Oh, that's amazing. You look old enough to have grandkids.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna just start.
Okay.
Maybe Lois went to sleep.
Maybe it could be that tornado that people are just
Yes.
Were we supposed to have a tornado?
Oh, it's touched down in the southwest. of here.
LaSalle County.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
LaSalle County,
A little far from there,
tornado.
Oh, in Chicagoland?
I guess it's hot, cold.
It's just weird. 3 weeks ago, there was I was in Milwaukee and there was a lightning storm. And just in February, in February, it just feels there's certain odd things. The weather can put you into a kind of surreal space. And there had been a tornado in Wisconsin in February. All right, all right. At some point, get used to that. I'm told.
No, you never.
I've
get
never
used to it.
gotten used to it. But
Can you put it on mute?
No. Apparently, for the security of this building, it's important that we get buzzed every once in a while. But there's a karate studio in the basement. And so people come from the side, go down there. It's a good combination.
Why is there a karate studio?
It makes perfect sense if you think about it, but you have to really
Think about it.
No, because they wanted a location. This building has 3 floors. They never use the bottom floor, the basement floor, and so it was a way to
Okay.
Maybe we'll
bring
go
some
there
extra
someday.
income.
That makes sense.
More rent.
Okay, so this Torah portion, Kisisa, at the beginning talks about counting the people. So the way the people were counted in the desert was heads of household, which, I mean, it was men 20 and above. For the most part, these are heads of household. So heads of household would present a half shekel, machzit shekel, a half shekel coin, and then the coins would be counted. And the Jewish people are counted several times, possibly 5 different times. They're counted several times in the Torah. So that is supposed to be the procedure. In fact, it says here that you're not supposed to count the people directly. The way it characterizes it is that the heads of household, Rosh B'nai Israel, but each person would, I mean, it's a skull tax, the head of everybody. Each person would give this half shekel. It's called a kofer nafsho. Kofer nafsho means like a redemption for your soul, some kind of redemption for your soul. So you'd give this half shekel, v'lo yia behem negef, so that there will not be like some kind of a plague.
Don't we do that during Purim?
Yes. So this continued, and in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, it was the practice that a month before Pesach, they would start collecting the half shekels because they were used for a year's worth of public offerings. Every day, there are at minimum 2 public offerings that are brought, which are called the tamid, the everyday offerings. They're brought first thing in the morning, and they're brought as the last offering of the day, usually in the afternoon, sometimes could be early afternoon. All the other offerings that are brought, which are brought by individuals, are brought in between those 2 offerings, the everyday offerings. After the second one, no new offerings are brought, but there are things that still didn't get a chance to get on the altar that can still be put on the altar. So there are fats and innards and all those kinds of things that end up being burnt on the altar throughout the night. But the actual offerings themselves are the tamid in the morning and the tamid in the afternoon. Also on Shabbos, there's an additional one, hence the name Musaf. Musaf is the additional one. So there was an additional public offering that was brought just because it was Shabbos. And then there's also for Yom Tov and on Rosh Chodesh. And there are different characteristics to these, like the Sukkot one had lots of animals, lots and lots of animals. The other ones had less animals. So the Sukkot one is different from the Shavuos one, which is different from the Pesach one, the Pesach offering. And I'm not talking about the actual Pesach offering, which was eaten on the Seder night. There's a special Musaf, an additional offering on Pesach. So those are all public offerings. They get paid for by the public coffers. What's the source of those public coffers? The half shekel that is given. So in this case, the half shekel is going to be used for the construction of the Mishkan, but it seems to be primarily given to count the people. Eventually, it's not for the purpose of a census anymore. Maybe over the years it was used as a census, but it was primarily for the purpose of supporting the public offerings that were given. But there is this notion that counting people directly is dangerous, that there can be something called a magefa, which oftentimes is translated as a plague, but it could be a spread of disease or something like that. And so we have a custom to this day not to directly count people. So
we don't ask how many grandchildren.
All right. So there's some people, but like specifically not the number.
Or you do this,
Yeah,
that.
right. So there's a verse in the Torah that some people use. There's some people who use the blessing on bread. Happens to have 10 words to it. Matovu is one of them.
Or no, or there's something else. There's a few of them.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So if anything that is, and there is somebody, nowadays, theoretically, you could count.
Modani,
Modani lefanecha melachai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmasi.
I think it's some
Rob, I'm going to sound.
it's some number of words.
Okay, there you go.
Modani.
So, hence that custom, and that you're not supposed to count directly. King David, for some reason, insisted on taking a sentence where he counted a census, where he counted the people, and people, there was some kind of spread of illness, of some kind of plague, and it's a weird story. It's towards the end of the second book of Shmuel. Why did he do it? Like, why was he felt compelled to do it? The people thought it was weird when he was doing it. It's one of the strange episodes at the end of that book of Shmuel about the life of King David. So there is a commentary called the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. He's included in Mikraot Gedolot. You could buy Mikraot Gedolot today. This is a relatively contemporary set in the last 30 years or something, but you can buy them up to today. It's a collection of commentaries that were considered amongst the most read commentaries on the Torah, and it was already, there were early versions of this that were published on the printing press at the beginning of the printing press.
Was that the 1400s?
Or like the 1500s. These were more like in the
Hebrew?
1500s.
Oh.
Yes, now there are versions where they've got translations of these, and there's, I think Judaica Press has a Tanakh set where they do a digest of these, or but Rashi's in it, Nachmanides is in it, the Ramban's in it, and amongst the Ibn Ezra is in it, but amongst the commentaries that's in it is the Or HaChaim HaKadosh. Now, in order for him to be in it, that had to be in the 1600s, because he lived in the 1600s. His name was Reb Chaim Ben Attar. He lived in Morocco, and he wrote what is still a widely studied commentary. It's quasi-mystical. Of all these commentaries, if you're looking for some kind of a mystical bent, he's the quasi-mystical one. The Ramban, Nachmanides, was a mystic, but his commentary on the Chumash rarely, it hints to mysticism, but it's not as overt. The Or HaChaim is more, tends to be more mystical. It's studied often by Hasidim. The Baal Shem Tov considered him his Rebbe, even though he never met him, just from having read his commentary. So he had influential students. So he asked about this half shekel coin. He was particularly interested in a midrash. The midrash says that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was told about this mitzvah, that God showed him a fiery half shekel. He showed him a fiery half shekel. And I want it to be given like this. This is not the only time the midrash has evoked the fiery image. The midrash evokes a similar kind of thing with the menorah.
So it's literally on fire, the shekel?
So the shekel that people gave was silver,
Yeah.
but the image that he was shown was like a shekel and fire. So you might consider it like a kind of drawing or something, but he's showing him the image in fire. So he also is shown the menorah in fire when it comes time. Now the midrash says Moshe was having trouble with the menorah, so God showed him a fiery image of the menorah. The menorah, so you could say he wants to see the shape. In fact, there is to this day a disagreement about what the shape of the menorah was. If you go into a Chabad shul, their image of the menorah is
Angled.
angled like that. In a lot of other shuls, it's rounded. It's a rounded image. The one outside the Knesset is rounded. The Temple Institute, which has made all the vessels for the next temple, the third temple, they've already made all the vessels for it. They have a menorah. Oh, so it's a tornado warning. So what does it say exactly?
National Weather Tornado warning in this area will 8:30 p.m. Take shelter now in a basement or an interior room.
I didn't
on the
get
lower
it.
floor.
It's not anywhere near here though.
Thank God I'm with you guys.
We could go downstairs. I have it as, I mean, we're on Zoom anyways. We could go downstairs.
I mean, I don't think the tornado's anywhere near here.
Do you want to just look at a map
Well,
for a
let's have
second?
fast look.
Why not?
Yeah.
Always better to check.
Right. Sorry for this pause. We got this alert. Did you guys get an alert?
Yes, on my television it came on. They said it would be around Hoffman Estates, Schaumburg, but it's moving.
Schaumburg,
so-
Hoffman Estates? That isn't
That's
terrible.
not-
Yeah,
Uh,
but that was like 5-10 minutes ago.
What do you say, Jake?
It says Elgin, it's
It's not quite here.
something.
Where's it
West
going?
Chicago.
So it's going up?
I'm not sure where it's going.
Does it hurt to go in the basement?
We could go,
We can go.
we
for
could definitely
karate.
go downstairs
Yeah.
to the first floor. You want to do that?
Sure.
Doesn't hurt to do it.
So if I'm in the city, I'm not in any danger.
No.
We're not necessarily advising, because we could have liability issues if one of your works of art gets
Yeah,
damaged.
if somebody
by the
tells me
tornado.
of the wrong information.
Right, so we're just gonna pause for a minute and go downstairs for,
Okay, should I just leave it on?
yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm
okay.
leaving.
Okay,
All right, let's go down.
Definitely thunder and lightning here, and I'm in Lincolnwood.
We have
Yeah,
fun, we have it.
thunder and lightning.
yeah,
got
it
it.
sounds like a thunderstorm.
Is it crazy in February? It just feels crazy, doesn't it?
What were we talking about? Because I have an interesting problem.
We're talking about the fiery half shekel and the menorah. And then Moshe, oh yeah, that there's this place called the Temple Institute that's making all the vessels.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
They cut all the stone.
Where are we heading? All the way downstairs?
The
or
stone,
just
I don't
first
know about.
floor?
I know they have the vessels. That you can actually go. They have what is like a museum, except it's about stuff that's going to be used in the future.
I'll get it.
Okay. We'll take the stairs.
We don't want to get stuck in the elevator.
There were some people that wanted to put it at where the Samaritans, you know, how they have an alternate location. They wanted to put it there, and someone wanted it where it's supposed to be.
Also, Shiloh had a mishkan for like 367 years. You'd think that might be a site for something. But I think almost everybody expects that it's going to be on the original site. We're just going to go to this floor because
You know, there are some very mosques that have many things. We do spread in mosques sometimes, you know, when things are more peaceful. They don't got any idols.
how to turn on these lights.
If it gets worse, we can always join the karate team.
That's it. Windows.
Yes.
They're still not right.
Up there.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, so the Orach Chaim has this question, which is, why does God need to show him a fiery half shekel? For the menorah, there are difficult, you could imagine, it's a complex piece. And there are complex details about how to put it together. It has to be made out of one solid piece. That's actually simple, not complex, but it would be complex to do it, especially out of pure gold, because pure gold is very soft. And how do the arms stand up with something like that? So there are real difficulties. I won't call them complexities, difficulties, and therefore he might benefit from getting a drawing. There's also a surprising one. He was shown fiery images of the 8 creepy, crawly creatures, the Shrutzim. These were, they're named. They're named in the Torah what the 8 are, but there are different opinions by now of what those 8 are. There's some lists that have it mostly like lizards, like chameleons and geckos and things like that. A lot of them have rats on it, or moles, or things like
No
that.
Are these
cockroaches?
like real life creatures, or
Yeah.
are they something like, are they like mammals or lizards, or are they from another?
So some of them are warm-blooded, like the mole or the rat. Some of them are lizards. And they have a special characteristic. They have a special impurity, like if they die. So a guy who is an exterminator who kills rats, he would be impure for a day. Nowadays, it doesn't make a huge difference if you're impure, because there aren't sacrifices. You're not eating sacrificial meat. But for instance, let's say you want to go to the Seder. At the Seder, the real moment of the Seder is eating the Korban Pesach. And matzah is also very important. In fact, he'll put them all together in one sandwich. But eating the Korban Pesach is one of the highlights of the Seder. You can't eat sacrificial meat if you're not in a state of purity. So you would, if you had come in contact with the dead, for instance, you'd have to wait 7 days, you'd get sprinkled a couple of those days, and then you'd go to the mikveh and you would be pure, and then you'd be able to eat from it. If you touched one of the Shmona Shratzim after they died, let's say you're an exterminator, then you'd just you go to the mikveh and you'd wait a day till the stars came out that night, and then you'd be able to eat from the Korban Pesach. There were people like Kohanim who ate food called truma, which are agricultural produce that are given as a kind of tax by the people. That also had to be eaten in ritual purity. So being ritually pure in those days was important to a lot of people, and therefore knowing which things made you pure and impure really mattered in your practical everyday life. Now it's more theoretical until we have the Beis HaMikdash rebuilt speedily in our days.
People servants of, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I had this question the other day. Servants of Kohanim, would they be able to eat truma? Or?
Yes, slaves,
Okay.
even slaves that are not technically Jewish slaves, could eat from the truma. Their household can eat from truma.
So anyone living under that roof.
Well, there's special categories of who's called household.
Got it.
So their children, the husband and wife, and the servants. They're called the household. So, anyways, they also were shown to Moshe in fire, those Shrutzim. So the question is, why is the half shekel being shown to him in fire? First of all, half shekel is a weight. It's not a shape. It's a weight of silver. A shekel is a weight of silver. So a half shekel is a weight. It will be most likely minted as a coin, but the shape of it doesn't matter. It's the weight of it that matters. So first of all, there's that. And even if they're, like coins are coins. Yeah. So why would he need to see it in fire? So he suggested the following. And this is based on the notion that the Mishkan is a response to the golden calf. In this week's Torah portion, the real elephant in the room, the elephant in the room for the last several Torah portions is finally revealed. And that is the golden calf. And it is discussed at length in this week's Torah portion. So there are commentaries.
Did the Babylonians take the Mishkan, or was it the Romans?
So the actual Mishkan was in use till they entered the land of Israel, the traveling Mishkan. But then they had places in Israel. The longest serving one was in Shiloh. You can still visit Shiloh, which is the site of this kind of. It was Mishkan in the sense it wasn't a Beit HaMikdash yet. It had a partial stone edifice and was partially still more of a tribal design. And it functioned as the place where people came on pilgrimage festivals, etc. In the book of Shmuel, they go to Shiloh. That's where the book begins, with his parents going to Shiloh, and Hannah doesn't have children. That whole story is happening at Shiloh. It was there for, I think, 367 years, 369 years. That was the place there, but there were the Mishkans and other places, a couple other places until the Beit HaMikdash was built. The Beit HaMikdash is built, I think, 400 and something years after they first enter the land of Israel. But as the Mishkan, with this design, is only really serving them in the desert for those 40 years. So, but the fact that there's a Mishkan is, according to many commentaries, but not all of them, the fact that there is a Mishkan is a response to the golden calf. And the last couple of weeks, I've been mentioning Rabbi Cardozo's expansion of this notion. He was suggesting that if you think about the ramifications of saying that the Mishkan is a response to the golden calf, what you're saying is that what we think of as the formal physical etiquette of Jewish service, going to a place, praying at a certain time, all of that, it would then have been a result of the golden calf. Because if you didn't have a Mishkan, it seems like you most likely would not have had those fixed offerings. The fixed offerings become the foundation for our fixed services, our fixed prayer services. So somebody could make the argument, in fact, he was suggesting it is the logical extension of saying that there wouldn't be a Mishkan, to say that what we think of as the formal service of the Mishkan, and that which becomes the formal service of Jewish services, is a response to the golden calf. So So he says as follows: one of the central functions of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, is as a holy site to which the Jewish people gather. It becomes a vehicle for the unity of the Jewish people. So later on, King Solomon, when he dedicates the actual temple, he's going to talk about it as the place where the Jewish people turn towards when they want to petition God, and it's the place from which God listens or to the petition of the people. So my granddaughter's calling. She's very nervous about this tornado.
You got it.
I'm take it.
Hi.
Hi, you guys okay?
Yeah,
How come it's dark?
Because we're in like our basement thing.
Oh, seriously? You went under the house into your basement thing? How do you like that? Okay.
No, we don't like the Foxes offered us to go to their basement, but Daddy doesn't want to.
Okay, that's fine. It's cool. It's cool. You're going to discover all sorts of things there.
No, because it's scary because you can hear everything.
I know, but I can hear everything, and I'm in a big building.
You could go downstairs. You have a basement.
Yes. You do have one. Where are you right now?
We're in like
your crawl space. I like it.
I don't like it. We have to sit on buckets.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's happening. I love you very much.
Where is it, Chelsea? Yeah, we should put Where are you? In the middle of the class. He is?
Yeah, but you know what? Even though I'm in the middle of the class, I took your call. You know why I took your call? Because I love you very much. Okay, I love you. I'm thinking about you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. When this class is over. Something. Gets
They
nervous
were
about the
done.
weather. They have a little, like, one of these root cellar kind of things underneath their house. So
Oh,
that's where they are. They have this.
they're gonna come out.
I've been
early.
in that journey with them when there's weather like this. Okay. Anybody remember? Oh yeah, we were talking about unity. So, so he suggests, and by the way, if you look at the Torah portion of Noso, and in the Torah portion of Noso, it's a grab bag of all sorts of mitzvahs, and it looks like they're disparate. It doesn't look like they have a common theme. But if you pay attention, the common theme is the Mishkan as a unifier, as a place where people come together as a nation horizontally, and then also with God. Now, you don't need a place for that. Technically, any place on the planet or not on the planet would be a place where you could experience the oneness of the Jewish people and the oneness of God, God's oneness, and the interconnectedness of everything. You don't technically have to be there, and that could be, but the people insist at the Mishkan that they want there to be something they can focus on, something that is kind of external.
Well, that's why they
That
say it's coming
helps
from
them.
the golden calf, because that's what they built it for.
Right, so the golden calf, what they insist at the golden calf, that they need some kind of intermediary, some focus, some something to help them in their service of God. So God provides. That's what these commentaries are suggesting. So God does. It's carefully crafted. It's carefully designed, but it is in a certain way a concession to the people who've demanded that there be something physical that can help them, that can inspire them. But again, when you're looking at the design of a building, if it was designed by an architect who is thoughtfully designing it, like in Ayn Rand's, what was that book called? The Fountainhead or the
Yeah.
Fountain? The one about the, was it Fountainhead?
Atlas Shrugged?
Not Atlas Shrugged. This one was like, it had a name like the Fountainhead or Foundation or something.
That's definitely.
It was about an
Isaac
architect.
Asimov?
No, it was Ayn Rand. It was about a architect, and where he strongly differed from the architects of his day was that he insisted on functionality, on beauty, but it also had to be appropriate for what was happening in the building, and therefore he refused. Like if somebody just wanted a bank that looked like a Roman palace or something like that, he wouldn't do it, because that's dressing something up as something that it isn't. And it doesn't help the functionality of what's going on inside. So again, one of the things you would assume, also there was a book by Michael Pollan. I feel bad for him. They're in a little, that place underneath is quite exposed. I mean, they can hear my grandchildren, yeah. Whatever, it's good, it is good to go through scary things.
The ones across from the shore, right?
They're right across from the shore. No, this is, it's really.
Okay. If the code to get in my house,
They're not
that
going
and
out.
snail. They're not going out.
What?
Dance and run around with us.
You could go for a minute. Want us to pause?
Yeah.
All right. So, as the sounds of the storm surround us, we're talking Torah.
Feel like neglected. That's three of
Might
us.
have it off on your phone.
Better not break the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So So if you, Michael Pollan also wrote a book about this. He is like one of these journalists that does deep immersion into the subject that he writes about. So he wrote a book about building a writer's shed on a property that he had. And he decided that he was going to immerse himself in the study of architecture and engineering as he goes through this process to understand the underlying meaning of it, of structures and shelters. So, what's it called? Did you say? Okay, yeah. So, and he also is like when you read that, you get this sense that if you're looking at a building that is designed by a thoughtful person, the building itself says a lot. His choice of materials, how he designs the interior, is all thoughtful. How much more so would it be if God himself is designing this structure? So the structure itself becomes a study. You could do it with a flower. You could do the same thing with a flower. You could sort of see God in the flower, but also wisdom from the flower. And you could see wisdom from even from a structure. So when they're studying them, because the Torah portions before this, the Torah portions after this, are talking about the structure of the building, the clothing that are being worn, the colors, the materials, the shape, etc. And so you'll see commentaries going over each. The commentary is going over each aspect. Let me call my granddaughter. I just want to make sure she's okay. I know she's nervous.
What is the building shape?
It got cold, it got hot, it's getting cold again. That creates a tornado.
Hi, are you okay? You sure? I know you are. And I love you. I'm thinking about you. And I just want you to know you are you're surrounded by people that love you. And I'm thinking about you. But you know what's even more important than that? Hashem loves you.
Can your class like say to?
You want to? You could say Tillim. Do you have your phone? I'm teaching Torah, and Torah is like Tillim. So right now I'm going to teach Torah for the next few minutes, and that's what we're going to do over here. And you say Tillim. Believe me, Torah learning is just like Tillim. Okay? All right. I love you. You're okay. You're okay. But you know what? Hashem loves you. You can ask Hashem to give you a hug. I always do that. Just say, Hashem, give me a hug. I'm afraid. It's okay. All right? I love you. I always do it. I always ask Hashem to give me a hug. He always gives me a hug. Ask him to do it. I love you.
Everything okay upstairs? You just wanted to come down?
Yeah.
Or that's.
We got,
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure there was.
Did you feel it? No, nothing.
There was
Nothing.
flood or.
No flood up there. Okay. So.
This isn't going 40 days.
And 40 minutes, yeah. My car is not one of those ones that turns into a boat. I don't know about you guys. Do any of you have it?
Got to have those.
They do have them.
Not intentionally,
In Florida, they got
floats
them.
away, I suppose.
Yeah. All right, so, so this is, he's saying this is a cue to one of the central purposes of the Mishkan, and that is to affect the unification of the Jewish people, and especially the unification of the Jewish people and God. Because what happens at the Golden Calf is there is a breach of trust. There's a breach of trust between the people and God. When there's a breach of trust, you stand back from each other. You feel a gap from each other. So the purpose of the Mishkan symbolized by the offerings. The offerings are called korban. Korban is built out of a word that means to come close. So it is a vehicle for coming close to God. So that it's the Mishkan, these coins are going to end up being used in this case to help build the Mishkan. Eventually, it's going to be used for the offerings that are in the Mishkan, the public offerings, the korban, which is a vehicle for it unifying. That's why God shows them the half shekel, he says. God shows them the half shekel because what he's saying is, I'm contributing my half. Now I want you to contribute your half. Because we need to come together again. We need to reconnect. We need to become one after the separation. And this is the typically when you see a word for perfection or realization of full potential, that word is shalem or shlemut. So when you hear people talking about achieving their deepest desire, oftentimes their deepest desire is characterized as a desire for wholeness, for wholeness. Nachman of Breslov is famous for saying, there's nothing more holy than a broken heart, because a broken heart is filled with yearning. And it's that yearning that will propel you. It's the energy that will propel you towards wholeness, for unity. The Mishkan is, it has other features and it affects other details, but at its core, it is designed as the place we come together. So in the Torah portion of Naso, you'll see there are for certain people that are on the outside. Let's say somebody has tzara'at, which is that skin disease that could lead to you being put outside the camp. You are separated, you're alone, and now you want to re-enter. Where do you go? Where's the portal for re-entry? The portal for re-entry is the Mishkan. Let's say you have a couple that are split, so and through a breach of trust, and they want to come together. Where does that ceremony happen? The Sota ceremony happen. It happens in the Mishkan. If again, a person who's bringing a sin offering, or people that are gathering from the pilgrimage festivals, these are all playing out some version of looking for unification, for unity. So this moment is where God is sort of signaling that this collecting of the coins, the building of the Mishkan, this is all in order to design a space that could be central to this phenomenon of everybody coming together. Technically, do you have to come together to be together? No. Technically, do you have to come together to be unified with the entire universe and with God? No. But the people, yes, it makes it a lot easier. And especially in that moment, certainly the people felt, who knows, all the factors that were involved in it, but they don't know where Moshe is. There's confusion. There's a sense, there's a fear of being alone with God, because God, they characterize him as a fire at Sinai. He's this all-consuming fire. They're sort of relying on Moshe as a kind of intermediary that helps them, be together. They don't know where he is, and who knows what else is influencing their need for there to be some place. And so eventually a place is created, and it is meant to be the function of that place. Whenever we're in situations like we're in, where especially before October 7th, when there was lots of hatred and anger and diversity that was going on in Israel, and now maybe it's kicking itself up a little bit again, some of that diversity. Yeah. So we have to be reminded that the goal is unity. Unity doesn't mean everybody acting the same. Unity means all sorts of different people coming together. Ultimately, a unified people has lots of different pieces that come together to form a greater whole. Those different pieces should be different, and people should honor the differences, but somehow with all those differences, we have to come together. This last week I watched Oppenheimer, like on a small screen on my phone. I'm sure Christopher Nolan would not be happy, but that's how I saw Oppenheimer. But I thought the film did a good job of showing this, they highlighted this, that there were so many people coming from different places, having to work together, even though they had strong attitudes about each other and felt like they were enemies. These guys were communists and these guys were this. But for the putting together at this project, for the putting together of that bomb, they had to all somehow work together. It fell apart afterwards, completely fell apart. But it was an interesting kind of model or example of something that should be able to happen now, that people with strong feelings about each other should be able to get together, should be able to stay together. No, the bomb, I agree. That's a weird metaphor. It's weird that it comes around the making of the bomb. But anyways, it was an interesting sort of study of it. And we need to, we can't just, we're told that the Beit HaMikdash, at least the second Beit HaMikdash, was destroyed because of sinat chinam, unwarranted hatred. And we cannot go back there. I don't know how not to go back there as a nation, but I know as a person but before October 7th, from the Yom Kippur before October 7th, I already developed my own mantra, which is, there is no them. There is no them. There is no them. Somehow we are an us. And as an us, we have to be able to unite. We have to, we cannot afford as a people to live in hatred and
Tell that to the other guy.
yeah, well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work to tell it to the other guy. So we as individuals have to commit ourselves to it. That our person is the only thing in our control, if it is really in our control. Our person is the only thing that we can really control. If we each as individuals commit to the fact that there is no them, that no matter how much we disagree with another person, we are going to not see them as outside of us, as unnecessary, as disposable. Nobody's disposable. We cannot fully realize what we yearn for. We can't realize, we can't realize what we are yearning for, which is that wholeness. We cannot realize it if we think that there are disposable people, if we think that there are people that are on the outside, that will somehow be whole if it's only us and everybody who thinks like us, or us and our family and our friends. It's not possible. We need it. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to like each other, but you have to work. We have to work with each other. We have to work with each other. We have to contribute to each other. We each one. Right. So there is no them, only us. Okay. This was a weird night. This was a weird night, but weird nights, there's, life goes on during weird nights. And thank you for putting up with all the stuff that went on. Thank you guys for putting up for it. It was a weird night to meet, but it was still cool. I'm cool with that. All right. Be well.
Thank you.
How are you guys? We had the building shook here.
Yes.
And it's a big building. Maybe it was built to shake, like those skyscrapers.
They're not like
yeah.
cheap.
I don't
Some
know.
cheap
Anyways, it
guy
did.
price.
All right, be well.
I'm glad you're safe.
All right, stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Everybody stay
Yeah.
safe. Okay,
Oh, they're
bye-bye.
probably downstairs somewhere.